Okay, let's call the meeting to order. First, we need a roll call, and that's something that you would be doing. Or no, I'm sorry.
Ilona's
No,
here. No.
yeah, no, Ilona's still.
No, she's here.
Yeah.
I was looking that way and I saw her first.
Yeah.
Ms. Douglas? Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Ms. Hedlund?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson? Ms. Makowski? Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Ms. Salmon?
Here?
Ms. Waller?
Okay. Are there any changes to the agenda other than the new
Yes.
agenda that was sent to us?
There are several changes, so my
Okay.
introduction will be moved earlier in communications, and also the Colazzo presentation. She has a performance until 4:45, so hopefully
Oh.
she'll make it in time. But otherwise, we can switch to presentation by staff first.
Okay.
Also, there's no new business, so we took that out. And one last thing, there's no presentation from Prairie Elementary School, which we will discuss later, but we will still have the discussion.
Okay. All right, but it'll still be in the same order?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Next, we need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any changes or comments about those minutes? Okay, can I have someone move to approve those?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we've approved the minutes. So let's start out, I guess, with your introduction.
I should introduce myself too. My name is Brandon Boys. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the city. I'm new in this position, taking over for Tom Carino. However, I worked for the city for almost 3 years prior to this. So technically during the transition, I'm serving as the interim public arts coordinator. However, we were fortunate to have hired a very talented intern, a super intern, Pauline Tanos. I believe her resume is in front of you all. Pauline has a Master of Fine Arts in Arts Administration. She's traveled around quite a bit, did a number of internships with some art institutions. And would you like to say a few things about your experience, Pauline?
Sure. I'm really happy to be joining this team. I previously worked or interned at a museum and at an orchestra, contemporary music ensemble, and an arts presenter. And I'm really excited to be working in public arts because that was my strong interest in my graduate program. I'll be working 4 days a week. Mostly I'm off on Mondays. Looking forward to working with you all. I think this is too early for the presentation, so maybe we can go ahead and do the staff presentation.
Mhm.
We'll start with the Urbana Arts Grants Program. So I was hired to mostly help with the grants program, to do some research and organize workshops and manage the applications that come in. And currently, I'm planning the workshops and some more marketing efforts. Right now, we don't have any submission yet, but that is pretty normal, I've heard, because usually they wait until closer to deadline. But if there's still no submission in the next few weeks, I'm hoping to have another press release. Hopefully, they'll get more people to know about this program. In terms of fundraising, we got more money for Arts in the Schools and Urbana Arts Grants, I believe. And there have been talks about doing some fundraising projects in conjunction with the Boneyard event in the spring, although this is still in the preliminary stage and nothing else has been discussed about that. So I'm looking forward to getting more information about that and discussing with the fundraising subcommittee. In terms of marketing, excuse me, we're still updating our Facebook and Twitter accounts. We have a small growth in fans and followers. So now we have 754 fans on Facebook and 1,229 followers on Twitter. And we recently started an Instagram account, which is really exciting because we're looking to connect with more of our younger audience members through photography. This just started, so we only have 5 followers right now. We are also promoting our grant projects and sculptures through social media and various press contacts. Last week we had an interview with WCIA with Jasmine Anderson for a morning segment, and it was on the 2 sculptures by the Urbana Free Library. And once all the sculptures are installed, so the last one will be installed this Friday at Boneyard. That is A Thirst by Sarah Depp. After that is done, we will create a marketing brochure to highlight the public art in Urbana. Just as a reminder, our sculptures were Whirlwind is in Thorn Tree by V. Skip Willis, A Thirst by Sarah Depp, Maelstrom 2 by Craig Snyder, Stranger Reduction Zone by Timothy Flood, and Twisted 2 by Bennett Wine. Next is the Artist of the Corridor. So Jill Stroberger's works were up until November 2nd, and now we have, it's really exciting, Carol Disfernam, which is an amazing artist of watercolors. Also, we are still working on the collaboration with Urbana Free Library, who approached us some time ago and wanted to have some of the works for Artists of the Corridor up also at the library. We have like 3 walls in the library that we can display works on. So we're working on an agreement on that. Art Now, we had our 50th episode with a sculpture, and it was really exciting, so thank you all for your hard work. And Art in the Schools is what we're going to discuss also later in the agenda, but the staff met with teachers from Perry Elementary on October 14th, and a proposal has been submitted to the committee. But we had a meeting, the subcommittee and myself, and we proposed that we go in a different direction because we have some concerns about the proposal, which we will address shortly.
Okay.
So yesterday I met with, sorry, is it okay if we can just move on to
Yeah.
the Prairie issue?
Yes, you might as well go ahead since they're not here to do the presentation yet.
Great. So I met with Ginny and Barbara, and we looked at the proposal that Rusty Clevenger from Perry Elementary submitted, and it's a great proposal. It's going to touch hundreds of children through storytelling and music and dance and also visual art. What we were concerned about is that the subcommittee, the Arts in the School subcommittee, still hasn't defined our goals as a subcommittee, and that we don't have clear programs. Last year we did the King School, and I think that is sort of why the Prairie School submitted their proposal, because they wanted to be doing what King School did last year. But then again, we're not reaching a lot of schools at once, was one of the concerns. And also, we're wondering if this is like a fair system, because the selection process is not very clear, and we just chose a school for unclear reasons. I don't know if Ginny or Barbara might have more to say on that.
You want to go ahead?
I think she's outlined it pretty well. We were just concerned because we had met as a subcommittee we didn't know anything about the proposal, and it was just a matter of timing, and also because of the guidelines of the commission, what we're supposed to be doing with the funding. We weren't sure that this was the best use of it. We weren't in disagreement with the proposal per se. We're behind the concept, but we also thought perhaps this might have been one of the opportunities for them to apply for a bigger grant, or one of the 4 categories that we do have. Having met with several public school teachers and talked to the coordinator from the school district, what the teachers tend to want to have support for are funding to go to events for more students, but that means getting substitutes if they don't take the whole school to an event. And there was a concern that by giving all the funding to one school, then it's like a 6-year cycle before a school could apply again. So it began to make us just rethink what we're doing and how we're doing it. And this is maybe a transition period, and it's a good time with new leadership and new staff to look at the whole picture again and try to keep it within the guidelines that we've been charged with. So we're not against the program per se, but it just brought up a lot of questions.
To what he had planned and everything, and we thought if we could take some of the people who were going to participate
rotate in the Prairie School and have them do the same program at all the different schools. That would expose a lot more children to the arts. So that was another idea that we thought maybe something like that could be looked at.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused because what I had understood that your subcommittee was talking about was probably supporting either 1 to 2 schools each cycle. And so it would just rotate among the schools.
Well, we didn't have a clarification on that because we hadn't had a meeting. Lisa
Okay.
never called. We had one meeting with Lisa.
Okay,
And then, of course, Greg was on the committee, and he passed away, and then Ginny
right.
was brought onto the
Okay.
committee, but we never had a meeting to discuss what the plan was.
Okay, I'm just
So-
saying that that's what I heard from Lisa.
Yeah,
So,
well, we didn't get, the subcommittee members didn't get communicated with.
okay,
And so this happened after Lisa left, and we met with Pauline on Friday.
okay.
So we were just sort of trying to play catch-up a little bit.
Right.
And see where things, but it does bring up some issues. I think as the commission continues to grow, we have
Mhm.
visited certain topics and
Mhm.
ways of doing things, and are we doing the best approach and everything? And do we need to do anything differently or better, or keep
Mhm.
doing the same?
Mhm.
So it just brought up a lot of questions from the one issue. It just sort of prompted a lot of discussion for
Okay.
our future.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my other concern would just be, I know you were talking about doing something for all the schools, but we do have limited funds, and so we have to take
Mhm.
that into account
Right.
as well.
Sure.
So, did anyone else want to step in here?
Could you remind us even more big picture? Is this part of our annual budget? We have a piece set aside for this right now?
Mhm.
And how
Yeah.
long has that been in place?
Oh, do you know off the top of your head?
Was the King School the first time we had anything
Yes.
set
That's my
aside? Okay,
understanding.
sorry.
Yes,
I think so.
but there is money also set aside for this
Yeah.
year.
But the
for this
year we did it
fiscal
for the
year.
King School was the first time we'd set aside that money, so this is a new,
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
This
item.
is-
Mhm.
And the FY 14-15, budget sort of lays out some general guidelines. And I found a planning document from 13-14 on this that set forth that within 1 to 2 years, the program would be created, and then within 3 or 4 years, we'd start to disperse funds. But we didn't find any detailed description of how the program would be administered. And so we can certainly check with Lisa and make sure that we're finding that out, but, we're also looking for insight from you all on what had been discussed to date and what was the understanding of the commission on how this would be implemented. Because the forward momentum has been to issue another grant this fiscal year to Prairie School in a similar manner as to what was issued for.
Yeah, that was my
The King School.
understanding, yeah.
And so I think we're still strongly positioned to do that. But if we back away and rethink and change course, then that, I would assume we could probably still get something done before the end of the fiscal year, but we don't necessarily want to back off. I think there's a few ways that this could be reconsidered, or we could just go forward with that methodology at this time and then attempt to reconsider for the next cycle as well. So those are some options.
I guess my concern would be, I'd kind of like to see us spend that money in this cycle if we could. And
Mhm.
since we have a proposal, I would be in favor of perhaps funding that and then changing. But
We could also reach out to the school district and inquire about
Right.
need and funding needs,
Right.
and see if there was perhaps more rationale behind the choice of Prairie School than we're aware of at this time,
Mhm.
and we could report back
Okay.
based on that.
Well, I can comment on that because I spoke to Betty Allen last week. She happens to be a personal friend and a neighbor, and she and a retired teacher from the Prairie School. They said that what they really need help for is either taking their children to events to expose them to outside experiences, or having events come into their school, and they would like to see funding for that sort of activity. But when they take them out of school, then of course that's a transportation cost expense and substitutes. And so those were their concerns for all of the schools, because Betty keeps in touch with all the teachers, and she coordinates for the District 116 school arts program in Urbana schools. So, because I wanted to know for sure, because we met with all the teachers last year at the Yankee
Mhm.
Ridge Elementary School, and ask them for input as to what they wanted, what they needed, how we could best help the schools. And this was a follow-up on that.
I remember some discussion about the granting we did to help Yankee Ridge get students down to the sculpture park, or was that Yankee
Mhm.
Ridge? We were,
Mhm.
Right.
and I think we had some discussion about whether or not paying for buses felt quite like it was in the spirit of this commission's
Right.
work, given that we were kind of augmenting the school district's budget in that regard, as opposed to connecting artists with these students as audiences,
Right.
Mhm.
where we're more the brokers of people. We
Right.
can help artists find their way to those spaces. Seems
Yeah.
like a little bit more in the spirit of what we do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the thoughts that we discussed on Friday, was the option, or even if we were to help. I mean, we came up with a lot of ideas, but nothing was concrete, and that's one of the things we wanted to do, was get your input as well, not just a couple of us, whether it was even purchasing a block of tickets that could be dispersed to schools, or creating a festival. At one point, we talked about some sort of festival that would bring students to Urbana and have a major impact on the community, because that's also one of our goals on this commission.
Mhm.
But we didn't really come to any final decision as to what's the best use of the money, following the guidelines of the commission, because this subcommittee is kind of in limbo at the moment.
I believe
Right.
we also discussed the possibilities of working with the Schools Foundation and the CU Symphony Guild. So that's a possibility. I forgot to mention that I've been in touch with Rusty and Kara from Prairie Elementary, and they are really disappointed that we're reconsidering their proposal, which is understandable since we could see that they put a lot of work into this. I did suggest to them to apply to the regular grant because I think their proposal is really great, and I think they can win if we choose to go with a different direction.
Okay.
We might not
Mm-hmm.
say no to them, but
Mhm.
I mean, it was my impression that we needed more time to review it and discuss it
Yes.
before any decision was arrived at.
So this isn't on the agenda for action, but if the subcommittee and staff were to get together and develop a proposal for action at the next meeting, or a recommendation, would that be an acceptable course of action? Then we could try to find answers to some of these questions and work to have a proposal moving forward,
Sure.
including consideration of the proposal that's been submitted.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. My main concern is that I don't want to undervalue the time that was spent preparing this proposal.
Mhm.
And,
For sure.
That's just a lot of work they put into this.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I would want to communicate to them right away that this group appreciates that and is doing everything we can to meet that. And I'm still not clear about everything that happened between the city and between this commission and Prairie at this point, but
Mhm.
I mean, I would really lean towards wanting to follow through with this and then revisit the big picture here. I understand that to take action, we need to put that subcommittee, but
But
I'm- yeah.
the question is, do we have to spend the money by June, is that correct?
I think June 31st.
Yeah, and that's the
June
thing. I
30th,
mean, in order to do something completely new, we're already kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
And it might be better to fund this proposal and then next cycle start with something new.
Mhm.
And I guess a reoccurring theme you'll hear from me during the transition is that we have fewer resources at this time. I mean, we're very fortunate to have Pauline and her skill set, but there are going to be some initiatives that we were perhaps planning to do that we're going to have to put on a back burner.
Right.
And we can be strategic about that. But yeah, a new initiative, this isn't necessarily the best time to be pursuing that, but we will consider all those kinds of things in context with the other demands for the
Yeah,
program.
because it's
so.
possible we won't have a new person to replace Lisa until sometime in April or May.
Oh, well,
It has taken
Oh, yeah.
pretty consistently 6 months
Really?
for an external
Yeah.
posting, and there's been something of a backlog. There's been a lot of major hires
Mhm.
at the city in the last several months. So I think we're working through that, but I wouldn't expect it to be dramatically faster than the norm here.
Yeah.
I think, too, that we felt that he did this in good faith, setting this whole thing up. And it's an
Mhm.
excellent program. There's no denying that. We all agreed that this is a great plan. We just felt like it should be reconsidered for sure. You know, are we doing what we were supposed to be doing? So I feel very strongly that we don't want to disappoint him just because we didn't have our act together, kind of thing, you know. So I go along with what you're saying, Kevin.
And it seems like if this is an annual, so far, this has been an annual expenditure,
Mhm.
it wouldn't necessarily be the case that we need to have the whole new program up and running if we decided to just go ahead and support this effort.
Right.
Probably good faith would just be to communicate to the other schools at that time and say, we're going to support this effort based on the prior work done, even by previous staff, but we want to communicate to the other schools. We are now currently reviewing what the next year's cycle will be in a way that supports everyone and outlines what their roles are. I mean, and that
Right.
wouldn't take a whole program. That's just a memo, essentially.
Right,
So
Right.
we could
exactly.
Right.
do that.
That was their concern, that it might send the wrong message to the other schools, and we don't want to come off that way at all.
Mhm.
And we just wanted to make sure we were following all the guidelines legally we're dealing with tax money, so we want to make sure that any proposal that we acted upon, was approved from
Yeah.
above.
Yeah, I think most of the things that we were reacting to were the Public Art Commission's own documents, your annual plan and your budget. So I'm not sure if you need to be concerned about a broader legal context as much as just your internal consistency and how
Right.
we're operating. And
Well, we figured if we did something wrong, you would let us know. So we we just didn't want to
Or the city
go
attorney,
down
yeah.
that road.
I feel that I think most of everyone has formed a clear idea of where they want to go with this issue. So I'm wondering if we can reach a decision today, because since we have a time constraint to work with.
I'm not sure if we have such a direct time constraint.
Okay.
The next meeting is.
Well, the next meeting won't be till January, I don't think, unless we were going,
We're not-
yeah, I understood we weren't meeting in December.
Oh, we aren't?
We could
Oh.
change that.
I didn't, I guess it's based on my calendar, I didn't realize that.
We could attempt to have a meeting in December for the purpose of hearing well, if that's the consent to move forward. Is that the consent to move forward and hear the presentation from the Prairie School, hear their full proposal? Does anyone?
I would think the commission members should hear it, because it's only 3 of us maybe, or 4 of us. Have you seen it, the proposal?
Yes, I've seen it.
Have the other members seen the proposal?
The one that was emailed out to us?
Oh, okay. Just to make sure everybody has awareness of
Mhm.
what it is.
Right.
If the commission didn't approve this until January, I haven't looked at the details of the proposal, would that disrupt their implementation
Mm.
timetable?
I don't know.
Yes?
Looks like it's scheduled, I think some things
It's
are
for
in
spring.
May.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, January 5th is when
Ooh,
the storytelling part begins, so.
thank you.
Would there be opposition to a December meeting for this
No.
one agenda item?
No, we can
No.
do that.
No.
Okay. We can work to schedule that then. And then we can still do more research in the meantime.
Well, I think it's a good incentive for us to visit the actions and thoughts that we want to put behind the use of this for future. So in a way, it was good that it came up,
Hmm.
so
Mhm.
we all get a clearer picture of how we're supposed to respond in the future.
Okay.
So
I'm
will
sorry,
you,
Greg.
sorry, will you let Prairie know where things are?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
I
just so
will.
that they know that we are, again, not reviewing their proposal more carefully, but we're reviewing the program more carefully, and just so they know that
Okay.
we're where we're at and that I want to communicate respect for what they've done here. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
Okay. I guess we should go ahead and move to old business since Collazo and Pearson aren't here yet.
She's on the phone.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh.
if she's ready, we can
Oh,
do
okay.
the presentation first,
Oh.
perhaps.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
We're almost
Is
ready.
this the Urbana Arts Council?
Yes?
Yes.
Hello?
We can hear the siren in the background.
Okay, I think I can hear you now. I hear a little bit of an echo. I don't know if it's my phone or yours or. Should I call back or? Hello?
Tech support.
Oh, dear.
Pauline, did you push the button on your mic?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
So my name is Isabel Colazo. I wanted to start off by saying thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Urbana Arts Council for being so gracious in granting our organization with funds for our project. The Blueprinting Project presents the housewarming sessions. Before I get started, did anyone have any questions or anything about the materials I had sent over for the final report?
Anyone? No.
No
Hello?
questions. No questions.
Okay. Sorry, I was under the impression I'd be speaking to someone. Okay, so we presented the work, the housewarming sessions, on September 5th and 6th at 505 South Race Street in Urbana, in an apartment building that is owned by Jonah Weisskopf, who is an artist and an Alexander practitioner in the city of Urbana. We had about 45, I think it's between 37 and 45 attendees from the city of Urbana who came on Friday and Saturday. We had 2 performances each night. We had some people who made reservations via our brown paper ticket site, who we had spoken to when we were putting up posters around the city of Urbana the week prior, and some folks who just heard the music and saw the dancing or heard about it through word of mouth and ended up kind of joining the team. So the piece was a multimedia performance installation based around the question, how do we create and sustain community in urban environments? And we had performed the piece in Chicago the weekend before that. The group is made of myself, Isabel Colazo is the artistic director and choreographer, Dan Pearson, who's a musician and sound designer who went to the University of Illinois and has some connections in Champaign-Urbana still. Anders Pollock, who also went to the University of Illinois. He was our multimedia designer. We had Robin Lee on board, who made our preview video, which I'm not sure if you folks got to see the preview video, but he was the videographer. He went to the University of Illinois and still has connections there. And then we had 2 Chicago-based dance artists join our group as well, who came down to Urbana with us. We created the piece during a residency period at Ballroom Dance Chicago up in the Lakeview neighborhood. And like I said, then ended up performing it in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago in my apartment building. So it was created as a site-specific. So the way it worked was we had a host meet the audience at the corner, and then the host guided the audience through the apartment building. And there were different scenes that were occurring. The first scene occurred outside. I sent over a short video clip that one of our audience members had taken and posted to Instagram that showed a sort of outside section of the work. And then it moved inside, and we did various scenes there. We and then it ended, and we served cookies. And on Friday, we had a post-performance discussion that was facilitated by Kate Cooper, who I'm sure you've heard the name of, another community arts organizer and also visiting lecturer at the University of Illinois. And she wrote a really nice piece about her experience of the work, which I also included in my supplemental materials. As part of our marketing, we created a website, which I also don't know if you had a chance to see, but on our website we included our bios and also all of our source material, and it was laid out in a kind of map sort of fashion. We had a bunch of different dots that were sort of maps on our logo, and people could click on a dot and see a piece of source material that directly related to a section of the dance or the performance that they would go to watch at a certain point. So we had a few audience members who did in fact navigate through the website before they came to the performance, and they mentioned that it really made the performance a lot fuller for them, that they could contextualize different details, and they could contextualize the sounds that we used and the images that we used. So we felt as though that was a really good plan of action to make the dance and the performance more accessible, because we are working in an abstract form. And what we'd like to do in the future is to spend more time and allocate more funds for marketing. This is the first grant that we've ever received and the first large-scale project we've ever performed together as a group. And it's the first large-scale project I've ever directed myself, so there was definitely a learning curve involved. So I'm extremely proud of the work, and I really do feel that the audience members who saw it were moved by the work, not only from what I observed, but from what they told me. But in the future, I would like to create a larger scale marketing plan. What we did this time was we went to Urbana several times before the performance occurred to find a performance space, and we would speak to people in the community and share what we were doing. And we ended up we got posters made. I also included that in my materials. We went to different businesses in the city of Urbana, and we postered and spoke to people, and we made a Facebook event and created a hashtag blueprinting project, hashtag housewarming session, sort of thing so that we could get the word out. So, like I said, the marketing aspect is still a work in progress, but I do feel like the people who attended the performance said that they really were moved by it and really appreciated it. So, is there anything else that you would like me to cover that I've missed, or any further information that you'd like to know from me about our plans for the future of the work, or anything?
Anyone have comments?
Isabel, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I remember you wanted to get a video played, and I have the video open right now if you want to show the
Sure.
commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Pauline was also showing us your website as you were talking about it.
Awesome. Yeah.
So thank you, Isabel, for presenting.
Yeah, thank you.
Kevin, did you want to say something?
Sure, I'll just say, Isabel, thanks for getting Kate's review in there. It's especially helpful for us since you're not here and we weren't all at the performance, and having a known local folks person to us was really helpful in
Of
getting
course,
a picture
yeah.
of things. And I would just say, this is partly for you, partly for our committee. I think this particular grants program has sometimes been a challenge, I think, for us to know how to best use. How do you attract folks from outside of town to do pieces in Urbana and have it matter for their process? And this seems to have worked really well for you, it looks like. And if it has, I hope you'll continue to, as you grow your new project and tell people about what made it possible, you'll direct more folks that might be interested in putting projects both here and elsewhere to this program.
I will definitely do that. I also wanted to share that the project isn't over. I'm applying to a fellowship that's actually through the University of Illinois, the Kate Neal Kinley Memorial Fellowship, to try and tour the work and do further collaborations with other artists in other cities. And I'm also applying for a City of Chicago grant. So as long as I continue to grow the work, I will definitely credit the City of Urbana. Like I said, this is the first grant that we received. And prior to receiving this grant, we were just individuals who were trying to make something happen. So this was really, truly the Kickstarter that got it all going. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful, and I will most definitely pass the word on to other artists, other Chicago-based artists. It was also a really great learning experience to figure out how to tour your work because, Urbana is not extremely far away. It's about 3 hours, 2.5 from Chicago, so it was a really good learning experience to learn how to, bring work on the road and show it in a new space. And attract people from a different city. So I just wanted to let you know that we're still continuing to grow it and develop it and tour it, and I will most definitely credit the City of Urbana for helping us start the wheel turning, so to speak. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Isabel.
Yeah. All right, well,
I think
is that all? Or would
I
you
think
like...
that's it. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you'll have a wonderful night. And I'll keep you all in my thoughts, and I'll pass on the word.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Okay. We'll move on to old business. So the first one would be bylaws. I think there was one bylaw we were talking about last time that was in question. Go ahead.
I'm not actually sure of the details, but the memo very brief memo you provided should have specified that any additional changes that were requested should have been made there. I apologize, I didn't look at the details of that. Did you not receive a one-page memo on the proposed bylaw change? Okay.
It was something about public input, wasn't it? Wasn't that
Mhm.
where we were?
I think so. Unfortunately, he's not here today.
No,
Mhm.
it's a one-page memo that Lisa prepared. I will go produce it for everyone. Ginny has it, I think. Yes.
I can say exactly what it was.
Mhm.
The second version of the bylaws has been vetted through the City of Urbana's legal department. The
Okay.
changes specified by the Public Arts Commission regarding public input have been made.
Yes.
Okay.
That's,
I think we were thinking
I-
of
I-
referring something new.
okay. I thought no, it was, my understanding it was that whatever was raised at the last meeting was fully addressed, and there were no additional issues. That's how it was communicated to me by Lisa, and she prepared the packet, and
Mhm.
so I had assumed it was clear what was being changed.
I thought
I'll-
you were referring to something new.
No,
Well,
I apologize. No,
I'll
it's
really
just,
go fishing in my memory here. And wasn't there something about a question about whether or not public input needed to be about a matter that was on the agenda?
Mhm.
Wasn't that the
That's
my
question?
recollection.
She was supposed to check with legal to see if that was something
Yeah.
Yeah.
included or not.
and
Yeah.
she,
People wanted it removed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
the new one says, Article 5, Section 1, any person who seeks to address the members of the commission will be permitted to speak on any matter listed on the agenda or on any other matter of public concern. So I
concern.
think that's where that matter was
It's been
addressed, right?
resolved.
So
Yeah.
Clarification.
that's
Okay.
what
Yeah.
are we meant to vote this in now? Is that what our?
Yeah,
is?
it says be prepared to vote on the bylaws, so.
Okay, yeah.
yeah. This is,
Hang
this
on,
is an
she's-
item for action.
Okay. Here we are. I think we already figured it out.
True.
I move.
Yeah.
Can I move that we
No,
vote
go ahead.
this into, move
Yeah.
these bylaws into
Yeah,
bylaws?
yeah. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving this set of bylaws? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we've passed them.
Thank you.
Okay, next, the non-endowed fund agreement.
This isn't actually an item for action.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And actually, neither is the Boneyard one, but the update, as you probably already heard, is the council approved the agreement
Mhm.
with the Community Foundation, and we've provided that copy of the agreement for execution. So we're waiting to get back the executed agreement. Well, they'll sign it, then we'll fully execute it. And then at that point, we'll have to have a conversation about fundraising, what that
Mm.
looks like given the transition period, and
Right.
how do we want to put this to use. But Lisa felt that it was, and I agreed that it was important to get that done before she left, so we were
Right.
able to get that agreement through.
Right. And then what's happening with the mural project?
The mural project?
Mhm.
I just have a quick update. Basically, if you remember, Mike Hosier,
Mhm.
a business owner in Urbana, wanted to create this mural project just behind Boneyard, and the design he kindly submitted to us to review, and realizing that we did not think it was the best for Boneyard, he decided to not go on with the project.
Right, so there will be no mural,
No mural.
right? Okay. Okay, is there anything else on that? If not, there's just some announcements. The grants application process for 2015 is open, and the deadline is January 16th, 2015. Did anybody else have any other announcements they might want to make? Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to reiterate that there will be a ribbon cutting for the major completion of the boneyard work. That's this Friday at 11 a.m. And we may or may not have a sculpture installed by then. We'll see, depending on the weather of the traveling of the artist. So you're all welcome to attend that, but we are still planning to do a spring event
Right.
in conjunction with the Boneyard Arts Festival when the project's 100% complete, not 95, as the Public Works Director said today. And that last 5% is going to be a lot of landscaping, too. And, of course, you know, with spring, I think it's going to be a very nice visual impact as well. So we'll continue working on that. A side note is that Urbana today learned that it is a gold level bicycle friendly community. They were bronze before and were aiming to hit silver, and they were awarded gold. So that's a great achievement for our community. I think it's actually Champaign-Urbana is the designation. I'm not positive though, but there is a celebration happening at Pizza M that you could head over to if you'd like to learn more about that. It doesn't directly relate to public art, but I think public art's better observed by bike anyway, right? So,
There you go.
thank you.
Okay. I'll go ahead and move that we adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
Let's adjourn. Oh, and I guess we will have a meeting then in December. So